So the REDMAGIC 10 Air is all around an amazing phone. But how about the most important part of this phone, which is gaming? Let's start the gaming test. So just a reminder, before we start, the phone has been running Warzone Mobile for 20 minutes. So the phone is heated up and ready to run games. This is not going to be an easy test. We're going to stress test it and see how the phone runs and each game at the maximum settings, and also what is the maximum frame rate we can get from each game. Alright, so let's start with the gaming test. And the first game we're going to start here is Warzone Mobile. Let's start the game. So the idea here is to run the game at the highest settings possible. As you can see here, we go to the graphics, and then we're going to set it to custom, and then we have the highest settings running now on the mobile game. Alright, we have the game up and running. As you can see here, we have the temperature right here and our frame rates right there, 90 frames per second right now, and we're running the CPU on balance. Alright, so the game is running completely smoothly, as you can see here, on 90 frames per second. Our temperature is rising up, as you can see, to 43 degrees Celsius, and our frame rate is now between 80 to 90 FPS, which is really good for the eco mode. So let's go ahead and put it to the rise mode here, where the CPU and GPU will overclock to get the best frame rates possible. Alright, so here's somebody here fighting us. As you can see here, the frame rate is still, as you can see here, at 90 frames per second. I think just running it on the game on balance, this will avoid overheating, and the game will still run at 90 to 80 frames per second. As you can see here, it's quite stable. So we're gonna lower the settings a little bit just to see if we can get it to 120 frames. Alright, here is the visual quality. So we're gonna drop it all the way down to low. We're trying to get the highest frame rate possible from this game. So this is gonna be medium, this is gonna be low. The shadow quality will also be medium, and then we still have anti-aliasing on. Alright, we have landed now. As you can see, our frame rate is right up there, 90 frames per second. Our temperature is now at 50. The device, to be honest, does feel quite hot, but the frame rate is still the same. When we put the settings down, we're still running at 90 frames per second. This seems to be capped at 90 frames per second, but the game does run really smoothly. Temperature is quite hot, so it's better probably to play with the case. This game is known for overheating devices, but yeah, I think the cooling is not as good as the REDMAGIC 10 Pro, that's for sure, because that one has a fan and this one doesn't. But as you can see, the game is still stable, as you can see, at 90 frames per second, while our temperature jumped to 51 degrees. Let's jump to the next game. Alright, so our next game is gonna be Delta Force. Let's start this game and see how it does with the REDMAGIC 10 Air. Okay, so Delta Force is now running. As you can see here, I put a case on the phone because it was really getting hot because of Call of Duty Warzone Mobiles. First, let's start with the maximum graphics settings. This is gonna drop it to ultimate. We're gonna check this out, and then we're gonna run it 120 FPS, see if we get these frame rate. Alright, so now the game is running at the highest settings possible. We have the frame rates, as you can see here, at 60 frames per second. The temperature has dropped since we played Warzone Mobile. As you can see, it's 42 the temperature. The good thing is we have the shoulder triggers here. Oh yeah. So as you can see here, our frame rate is still stable at 60 frames per second. Alright, so here is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to the graphics settings and do it at 120 frames per second. Alright, so now here is the game running at 120 FPS with the standard settings. As you can see here, the game seems to be quite stable. Our frame rate right there is 119 frames per second, 118 sometimes, but it's quite stable. So this game is way more optimized than Warzone Mobile. As you can see here, the temperature dropped all the way to 40. We are fighting in battle, and the frame rate is still stable at 119. Oh, we're gonna die. 1 second, let's see. Alright, there's more people there. It's really fun playing with the shoulder triggers. So we died, and as you can see here, here's the frame rate. It's quite stable. So Delta Force runs really well on the REDMAGIC 10 Air. Alright, on to the next game. It's a game I don't like so much, to be honest. Genshin Impact. Let's run it and see how it does on this phone. And let's see if we can hit 60 frame rates with the highest settings possible. And would you look at this, here is the game running at the highest settings possible, and we have 61 frame rates per second. For some reason, there is one frame rate here more than the 60. But as you can see here, the game is running really smoothly, and our temperature, as you can see here, is stuck at 40, so this game also does not overheat the device like Warzone Mobile. This game, the Genshin Impact, runs really well on the REDMAGIC 10 Air, and it looks really fantastic. Alright, so we have two more mobile games to run. The next one is PUBG Mobile. Let's start. Alright, so PUBG Mobile is now running. As you can see, my player is naked because I don't play this game. Here we have it set at extreme frame rates, but first we need to go with the highest graphics and see what we can get. Then we test the extreme frame rate. So first we're gonna go to extreme graphics. As you can see here, it's not supported with this phone. So we're gonna go with Ultra HD graphics. This gonna take our frame rate to Ultra. Let's try it and see what we get. As you can see here, our frame rate right now is 41 FPS and it's quite stable. It's not even moving. Even I saw this on the lobby. As you can see here, we're landing in an area and our frame rate is quite stable. It's not going to change. I don't think it will move anytime soon because, you know, it's really stable. And also, as you can see here, our temperature dropped all the way to 38. Again, this is because the game is optimized unlike Warzone Mobiles, but we need more than 41 FPS, so we're gonna get to the extreme frame rate and test it out. If we go to smooth, we can get ultra extreme frame rate, so let's try this one just to see what the most frame rate we can get from PUBG Mobile. As you can see, so right now the frame rate is stable at 121 FPS, again, one more frame we get here. And the game seems quite stable. It's not even changing. The frame rate is always at 120 FPS. So Warzone Mobile, again, they need to learn from this. The game is really optimized and runs really well on the REDMAGIC 10 Air. As you can see here, our temperature did not change, still 38 degrees. And the game is quite stable at 121 FPS. So this was PUBG Mobile on the REDMAGIC 10 Air. Alright, so this is the last mobile game we have here is Fortnite Mobile. Let's start this game and see how it does. So here are the graphics settings. As you can see here are all set to low. So we're gonna go with the highest settings for everything just to see how the game runs with the maximum settings. Then we're gonna lower it to get the maximum frame rates possible. So let's get the highest frame rate here. So now we're playing the OG Fortnite. As you can see here, we're gonna land and see how the frame rate keeps up while we're gaming. So I can see the temperature going up, just like with Warzone Mobile. As you can see here, it's 46 degrees Celsius right now. It feels a bit hot, and I think it will go up more, to be honest with you. But let's look at our frame rate. So as you can see here, our frame rate right now is 91 frames per second. It's quite stable. It's not changing so much. So I haven't played this game in a while, so maybe you can open the parachute here. Oh, I died, so yeah. So it does look like Fortnite is capped at 90 frames per second, as you can see here, because even after lowering everything down, we still play at 90 frames per second. So actually, there is no point to test this. We're still gonna get 90 frames per second, just with lower thermals. Let's go to the next game. Alright, next we have Emulator. So the two emulators we're gonna run is User Emulator for the Nintendo Switch and then Winlator, which emulates Windows games to run on the phone. We're not gonna test any PlayStation emulators, so we're gonna run the highest demanding emulators and see how they do. So the game we're gonna run here is Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and also we have Dragon Ball Z, and see which one does better with the frame rates. So here is Zelda Tears of the Kingdom running on the REDMAGIC 10 Air. As you can see here, we have a frame rate of 30 FPS stable. The thing is about this game, the graphics seems to be glitching sometimes. As you can see, the light is changing here and there, and also this is running on the basic driver that comes with the Yuzu emulator instead of the turnip drivers. I've tried the turnip drivers for Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, but the game keeps freezing and lagging, so this one is slightly better. But as you can see here, we do have some issues with the graphics, the light changing from blue to normal light. I don't know why yet, but the game runs quite smoothly. There are some hiccups here and there, but it does run quite well. So let's go to the next game and see how it does. Alright, before we run the game, we did actually change the drivers for this one. As you can see here, I'm running the turnip drivers because it does not run well with the universal driver. So I'm going to try it with the turnip drivers and see how it does. Okay, here is the game running right now. Let's go to the first battle. As you can see here, we have some glitches also with the graphics sometimes, but the game runs a bit better than Zelda. It's capped at 30 FPS. Let's try to do some attacks here. As you can see, the problem is the lighting for me. It keeps switching up to being bright and then being dim. But as you can see, the game is running at least smoothly. It's totally playable. And I haven't played this game before. It's actually very fun to play. So this is Dragon Ball Z from the Nintendo Switch running on the REDMAGIC 10 Air. Let's go to the next one. Alright, so the last thing we have here is Winlator. I've been excited for this, so I did download GTA V for this to run on this phone. And let's start it. I'm going to share with you my container settings first, in case you want to copy them. Here are my container settings. I did change this to make it full screen, and then I did choose the turnip drivers, because these are the most drivers that are compatible with the REDMAGIC 10 Air because of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. And then you have your DirectX wrapper here. I kept this the same, and then I didn't change this as well. Show FPS, go to advanced settings and put this to compatibility to have more games running for you. If the game runs not so well, then switch it to performance. And then all you need to do is start your container here, and then you can download the game. I'm not gonna say the source of the game and where I downloaded it from, but let's start playing GTA V on the REDMAGIC 10 Air. Alright, so I'm playing this game right now with a controller. As you can see here, this is because the game does not really run well with the touch controls. So the game is now running at 30 frames per second. I'm using the lowest settings possible. Every time I did increase the settings, it does not go well for me because there is a lot of problems with the shaders and the game keeps crashing. But right now we're running at the lowest settings possible. We have 30 frames, sometimes 27 frames. Our temperature, surprisingly, is 40 degrees Celsius. This is even better than Warzone Mobile, which is very surprising to me. So this is our GTA V running on the REDMAGIC 10 Air. Alright, so there you have it. If you're not impressed with this phone as much as me, I don't know what to tell you. If you want to get a gaming phone, don't waste your money on any other phone other than the REDMAGIC 10 Air. This is one of the best gaming phones I've tried, and the price is actually insane. So if you want to grab it, I left the link for it in the description below. And as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you like the channel, subscribe, and peace.